Admiral John Carter stood motionless at the command center viewport, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of monitoring screens. The Earth Defense Fleet's primary detection station had pinged an alert 30 minutes ago, and now everyone waited in tense silence. "Sir, the object maintains its position at the edge of our solar system," reported Lieutenant Ryan Foster, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. Size estimates put it at roughly 15 kilometers in length. Carter's jaw tightened. 15 kilometers. The largest human vessel ever constructed barely reached 1 kilometer. "Any response to our communication attempts?" "None, sir. We've tried all standard protocols and frequencies." Security Chief Maria Bennett approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, I've alerted all Earth defense stations. Orbital platforms are at readiness level 2. Carter nodded, his eyes never leaving the distant image of the vessel captured by their long-range sensors. The ship was unlike anything they had seen before, sleek despite its enormous size, with strange geometrical protrusions that defied human engineering principles. "What do we know about its capabilities?" Carter asked. Intelligence Officer Lisa Winters stepped forward. Her usually calm demeanor seemed strained. "Sir, our sensors detect energy signatures unlike anything in our database. The power readings are, well, they're off the charts." "Weapons?" "We believe so, Admiral. The configuration suggests advanced weapons technology, though we can't be certain without closer observation." Carter turned to face his senior staff gathered around the command table. "Options." Chief Tactical Officer Steve Jordan cleared his throat. "We could dispatch drones, sir. Keep our people at a safe distance while gathering intelligence." "The drones would take too long to reach that position," countered Commander Diana Powell, head of operations. "By the time they arrived, that vessel could be well within our inner solar system." Carter considered this, then made his decision. "Prepare the Stargazer for immediate launch. Captain Frank Miller will lead a small reconnaissance team. Their mission is observation only, maintain a safe distance, and gather as much data as possible." "Sir," Lisa Winters interjected, "the risk assessment suggests." "I'm aware of the risks, Officer Winters. But we need eyes out there now." Carter's tone softened slightly. "Frank Miller is our best captain for this kind of mission. If anyone can handle first contact with an unknown entity, it's him." As the command center burst into coordinated activity, Carter pulled up the latest sensor readings on his personal display. The massive vessel had begun to move, slowly but deliberately, on a direct course toward Earth. Captain Frank Miller received his orders with characteristic calm. Within 30 minutes, his team was aboard the Stargazer, Earth's fastest reconnaissance vessel. The sleek ship housed advanced stealth technology and the most sensitive sensor array in the fleet. "Pre-launch checks complete, Captain," reported his pilot, Lieutenant Paul Hayes. Miller nodded. "Communications. All systems green," replied Communications Specialist Amy Rivera. "We've loaded all known linguistic algorithms and first contact protocols." Science Officer Daniel Grant finished securing his equipment. Sensor suite calibrated for maximum range and detail. "Sir." "Good." Miller settled into his command chair. "This is exactly what we've trained for, people. We observe, we record, we report. No heroics." The Stargazer launched smoothly from its orbital dock, accelerating rapidly toward the outer solar system. On the main screen, the mysterious vessel grew steadily larger as they approached. "Captain," said Daniel Grant, his voice tense, "I'm detecting unusual activity from the vessel. Energy readings are fluctuating." Miller leaned forward. "Meaning?" "It could be preparing to fire weapons, or it could be attempting to communicate. The patterns are unlike anything in our database." Miller watched as the enormous alien ship continued its inexorable approach toward Earth. Whatever this vessel represented, peaceful explorers or conquering force, humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. "Record everything," Miller ordered. "Earth needs to know what we're dealing with. The fate of their world might depend on what they discovered next. The first transmission from the alien vessel came 3 hours after Captain Miller's team began their observation mission. The Stargazer's communications array suddenly lit up with incoming data. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Amy Rivera reported, her fingers moving rapidly across her console. It's being broadcast on all frequencies, directed not just at us but toward Earth as well." Miller moved to her station. "Can you decode it?" "That's the strange part, sir. It's already in multiple Earth languages: English, Mandarin, Russian, Spanish, Arabic, perfectly formatted for our systems." The main screen flickered to life. The image showed a humanoid figure with pale blue skin, elongated features, and eyes that seemed to reflect starlight. When it spoke, its mouth movements synchronized perfectly with the words, "People of Earth, we are the Krylaxian Empire, dominant force of this galaxy. We control 700,000 star systems across 70% of what you call the Milky Way. Your solar system has been selected for imperial acquisition. Your planet will become a resource world under Krylaxian authority. Resistance is inadvisable. You have 48 Earth hours to prepare your surrender protocols. Further instructions will follow." The message repeated once before cutting off, leaving the bridge of the Stargazer in stunned silence. "Send everything back to Earth Command," Miller ordered. "Maximum encryption. And maintain our observation position." Back on Earth, the United Council gathered in emergency session. The massive circular chamber, normally filled with measured debate, now buzzed with barely controlled panic as representatives from all Earth nations viewed the alien message. Admiral Carter stood at the central podium. "We've confirmed the size and capabilities of the vessel. Our initial scans suggest their technology exceeds ours by at least several centuries. They possess energy weapons, advanced propulsion systems, and defensive capabilities we can barely comprehend." Council Chairwoman Ellen Rodriguez leaned forward. "What are our options, Admiral?" "Militarily speaking, we are outmatched. The Earth Defense Fleet was designed to handle minor threats and asteroid deflection, not to repel an advanced alien empire." Dr. Olivia Martinez, the leading xenolinguist at the Global Research Institute, stepped to the podium next. Her analysis of the message had been rushed but thorough. "The language patterns reveal several important details," she explained. "First, their use of the term acquisition, rather than conquest, suggests they view this as a business transaction, not a military campaign. Second, the phrase resistance is inadvisable, rather than futile or impossible, indicates they acknowledge some potential for resistance, even if they consider it unwise." "Are they bluffing?" asked the representative from the African Union. "Impossible to determine without more data," Martins replied. "But the overall tone suggests absolute confidence in their superiority." As the Council debated possible responses, Chief Scientist Peter Walsh was granted urgent speaking privileges. He arrived directly from his laboratory, looking disheveled but determined. "Council members, I believe we may have leverage," Walsh said, activating a holographic display. "My team has been developing theoretical defensive technology based on quantum mechanics. While still experimental, our simulations suggest it could pose a significant threat even to a vessel of this size." "How experimental?" Carter asked. "We've never deployed it beyond laboratory conditions," Walsh admitted. "But the principles are sound. It could be our only chance." Chairwoman Rodriguez called for a vote. "We have less than 48 hours to decide humanity's response. Do we surrender to an alien empire we know nothing about, or do we show them that Earth will not be easily taken?" The council chambers erupted in passionate debate as Earth's leaders grappled with the most important decision in human history. At the edge of the solar system, the massive Krylaxian vessel continued its slow, deliberate approach toward Earth, its weapon systems beginning their preliminary activation sequence. After 18 hours of heated debate, the United Council reached its decision. Admiral Carter stood alone on the bridge of his flagship, the Defender, as it approached the massive alien vessel. His small diplomatic shuttle waited in the launch bay, prepared for his solo mission. "Admiral, are you certain about this?" asked his executive officer, Commander Heather Wilson, her concern evident in her voice. "We could send a remote transmission instead." Carter shook his head. The counsel was clear. Our response must be delivered in person to show strength and resolve. One representative, face to face. The Admiral knew the risks. Intelligence reports suggested the Krylaxian Empire had obliterated civilizations that resisted them. Yet Earth would not bow without at least one gesture of defiance. Carter boarded the shuttle, carrying Earth's official response, a single data crystal containing a message just 7 words long. The Council had debated for hours before agreeing that simplicity would convey more strength than lengthy explanations. As his shuttle approached the alien vessel, Carter was struck by its sheer scale. The Krylaxian ship dwarfed anything humans had built, its surface gleaming with strange metals unknown to Earth science. A tractor beam captured his shuttle, pulling it smoothly into a cavernous docking bay. Carter stepped out, standing tall in his formal Earth defense uniform. He was met by 4 Krylaxian guards, their blue skin highlighted by elaborate armor that seemed to shift colors with each movement. They escorted him through winding corridors to what appeared to be a command center. There, a Krylaxian of impressive height awaited him. Unlike the others, this one wore ornate insignia and carried himself with unmistakable authority. "I am Grand Admiral Zex Tor of the Krylaxian Imperial Fleet," the alien announced, his voice deep and resonant. "You are brave to come alone, human." Carter kept his expression neutral. "Admiral John Carter, Earth Defense Fleet. I bring our planet's official response to your message." Zex Tor gestured lazily. "Your surrender terms are accepted. We will begin resource extraction within your lunar cycle. Your cooperation will determine how many of your people survive the transition." Without changing his expression, Carter placed the data crystal on the table between them. "This is Earth's response." The Krylaxian commander activated the crystal. A simple hologram appeared with 7 words. "Earth is not for taking. Retreat immediately." For a moment, silence filled the command center. Then, unexpectedly, Zex Tor laughed. The sound was harsh and mechanical, more like metal grinding against metal than anything human. "Amusing," he said finally. "In my 3 centuries commanding this fleet, I have conquered 37 worlds and received many responses to our arrival. Begging, bargaining, threats, but rarely such simple defiance." He activated a large display showing thousands of planets across the galaxy, many marked with the Krylaxian symbol. Each of these worlds once believed they could resist. Some had technology far beyond what your primitive sensors detected on our vessel. All now served the Empire. Carter remained steady. "Earth is different." "They all say that," Zex Tor replied, his star-like eyes narrowing. "Yet here we stand. The Krylaxian Empire expanding ever outward, and your kind, about to be another footnote in our long history." Carter allowed himself a small smile. "Perhaps, but I was instructed to deliver our message and return with yours. What shall I tell my people?" Zex Tor studied the human admiral. "Tell them they have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, we demonstrate our power on one of your smaller cities. Then you will understand what you face." As Carter turned to leave, Zex Tor added, "Your species shows unusual confidence. What hidden strength do you believe you possess that thousands of other worlds did not?" Carter paused at the doorway. "That's the question you should be asking yourself, Admiral." On the return journey to Earth, Carter reflected on what he'd seen. The Krylaxians were arrogant, powerful, and accustomed to easy victories. They had no idea what humanity had been developing in secret or what lengths humans would go to protect their home. The countdown to confrontation had begun. 500 meters beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility unknown to most of humanity, Susan Blackwell checked the quantum stability readings for the 3rd time. The numbers hadn't changed. They were still well beyond what any theoretical model had predicted. "Ellen, come look at this," She called across the cavernous laboratory. Dr. Alan Grayson, his eyes red from lack of sleep, hurried over. For 6 years, they had led the most secret scientific undertaking in human history, Project Displacement. What had begun as pure theoretical research had evolved into something far more significant. The coherence is holding at 97%, Susan explained, pointing to the glowing numbers, even with scaled-up energy input. Alan studied the data, then looked at the small device suspended in the reinforced testing chamber. It appeared deceptively simple, a metallic sphere the size of a basketball, covered in intricate circuitry. "We've never tested anything larger than a baseball," he said quietly. "The Council is asking us to deploy this against a 15-kilometer ship." Susan nodded gravely. "If the calculations are correct, size shouldn't matter. The quantum displacement field creates a localized bubble that removes the target from our spacetime completely." The facility door slid open as General William Cooper entered, accompanied by Admiral Carter. Both men looked grim. "The Krylaxians have given us 24 hours before they attack," Cooper announced. "We need to know if your device is ready." Susan and Alan exchanged glances. What they had created was revolutionary. A defense system that didn't destroy targets so much as remove them from existence. The technology created a temporary quantum field that displaced anything within it to somewhere else. They still didn't fully understand where the displaced matter went. "Theoretically, it should work," Alan began carefully. "But we've never tested it on anything remotely close to the size of their ship." "What's the largest successful test?" Carter asked. "A 2-meter test object," Susan replied. "It disappeared completely, with no trace radiation or particles left behind." General Cooper walked to the observation window overlooking the testing chamber. "And you're confident the scaling principles hold true? This isn't just a fancy disintegration beam. The target is truly removed." Alan nodded. "The mathematics is solid. The quantum displacement creates a temporary bubble where normal physics ceases to operate. Anything inside that bubble is separated from our universe." "Permanently?" Carter asked. Susan hesitated. "As far as we can tell, we've detected no way to reverse the process or determine where the displaced matter goes." The weight of what they were discussing hung heavy in the air. They were contemplating using an experimental technology that might condemn thousands of alien beings to an unknown fate. "The deployment system is ready," Susan continued. "We've installed quantum displacement projectors on 3 orbital platforms. They can create a unified field large enough to encompass the Krylaxian vessel." General Cooper turned to face the scientists. "You understand what's at stake here. If this fails, Earth faces subjugation or worse. And if it succeeds," Alan added quietly, "we become the species that made an entire starship and its crew vanish from existence." Admiral Carter stepped forward. "I've seen their ship. I've spoken with their commander. They'd done this countless times before, arriving at inhabited worlds, demanding surrender, then taking whatever they want. They have no intention of peaceful coexistence." Susan looked down at her tablet, scrolling through test results that had consumed years of her life. "The system needs 6 hours to power up. Once activated, the displacement effect is nearly instantaneous." General Cooper nodded. "Then we have our plan. But first, the Council wants a demonstration, something the Krylaxians can observe from a safe distance, something to give them one last chance to reconsider." "We could target one of the asteroids near their approach vector," Alan suggested. "Small enough to be safe, but large enough to send a message." Carter's expression hardened. "Prepare the demonstration. Earth will not be taken without a fight." The asteroid designated KB 372 floated silently in space, a rough chunk of rock approximately 300 meters across. For billions of years, it had followed its predictable orbit without incident. Today, it would serve as humanity's demonstration of power. Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching as the 3 orbital platforms positioned themselves in a triangular formation. Each platform housed one of the quantum displacement projectors, carefully aligned to create a convergence point directly on the asteroid. "All systems are prepared, Admiral," reported Lieutenant Eric Mason from the tactical station. "Quantum displacement projectors at 87% charge." Carter glanced at the secondary display showing the Krylaxian vessel. It had maintained its position at the edge of Earth's orbit, waiting for the surrender deadline to expire. "Open a channel to the Krylaxian ship," Carter ordered. Communications Officer Nickel Daniels nodded. "Channel open, sir." Carter straightened his uniform and faced the screen. "This is Admiral John Carter of Earth. Before your deadline expires, we wish to demonstrate a technology in our possession. We ask that you observe carefully." The screen flickered, revealing Grand Admiral Zextor's impassive blue face. "This delay is pointless, human. But we will witness your demonstration before we begin our assault." Carter nodded to Susan Blackwell, who had joined him on the bridge as technical advisor. She stepped forward, tablet in hand. "The projectors are aligned and ready," she confirmed. "Target locked." Carter took a deep breath. "Commence the demonstration." On her command, the 3 orbital platforms emitted invisible quantum displacement fields. Where they converged on the asteroid, space itself seemed to waver, like heat rising from hot pavement. For 3 seconds, nothing else happened. Then, without explosion or sound, the asteroid simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, a solid mass of rock and metal. The next moment, empty space. The bridge crew of the Defender sat in stunned silence. Despite knowing the theory, seeing the technology in action at this scale was sobering. "Sensor confirmation," reported Science Officer Judy Reynolds, her voice slightly shaky. "Complete displacement. No debris, no radiation signature, no particle dispersal. The asteroid is gone." All eyes turned to the screen showing the Krylaxian vessel. For several moments, there was no response. Then, unexpectedly, the massive alien ship began to adjust its position, moving slightly away from Earth. Nickel Daniels touched her earpiece. "Admiral, I'm intercepting communications from within the Krylaxian vessel. Their internal channels are active with, well, it sounds like confusion. Sir, can you translate?" "Partially. They're debating what they just witnessed. Some crew members are questioning if the demonstration was genuine or some kind of illusion." Carter nodded to Susan. "Record for transmission." Once ready, Carter addressed the Krylaxian commander again. "Grand Admiral Zextor, you have witnessed a small demonstration of Earth's quantum displacement technology. The asteroid you saw disappear was approximately 300 meters in diameter. Our projectors can create a displacement field large enough to encompass your entire vessel." He paused, letting the implications sink in. "We reiterate our previous message. Earth is not for taking. Retreat immediately." The screen remained silent for nearly a minute before Zextor responded. His star-like eyes had narrowed, and his posture had subtly changed. "An interesting trick, Admiral. Our scientists are analyzing what we observed." "It's no trick," Carter replied calmly. "The technology removes objects from our space-time continuum entirely. We developed it for asteroid defense, but it serves other purposes equally well." Diplomatic Officer Gregory Howard stepped forward. "Grand Admiral, we would prefer peaceful relations. If the Krylaxian Empire wishes to establish diplomatic channels rather than military ones, Earth is open to discussion. But we will not surrender our world." The alien commander's expression was unreadable. "This changes certain calculations. We will respond within your hour." As the transmission ended, Carter turned to his crew. "Maintain battle stations. They're reconsidering. But we're not safe yet." Susan Blackwell studied her readings. "The projectors need 2 hours to recharge after the demonstration, if they attack before then." Carter nodded grimly. "Then we'll see what else humanity has to offer." The hour passed with no word from the Krylaxian vessel. On the bridge of the Defender, tension grew with each passing minute. Admiral Carter paced slowly, watching both the main screen showing the alien ship and the status display of the quantum displacement projectors, still recharging after the demonstration. "Any communications?" Carter asked. Nicole Daniels shook her head. "Nothing official, sir. But I'm still intercepting their internal transmissions. There appears to be significant disagreement among their leadership." Science Officer Judy Reynolds looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the Krylaxian vessel. They're powering up something. Multiple systems activating." Carter turned to tactical. "Status of our defense platforms. Projectors at 62% charge. Admiral, Lieutenant Mason reported. Not enough for another displacement yet." The main screen suddenly activated, showing Grand Admiral Zextor. Behind him, other Krylaxians moved hurriedly through what appeared to be their command center. "Admiral Carter," Zextor began, his voice carrying a new edge. "Your demonstration was impressive but inconclusive. Our science division believes you may have simply used a conventional weapon with clever sensor masking." Carter's expression remained neutral. "It was no deception, Admiral." "Perhaps," Zextor replied. "But the Krylaxian Empire does not retreat based on one demonstration. We require more concrete evidence of your capabilities." Before Carter could respond, Nicole Daniels called out, "Sir, multiple smaller vessels launching from the Krylaxian ship." The tactical display showed 5 sleek craft detaching from the main vessel, accelerating rapidly toward Earth. "They're running a test," Susan Blackwell realized, "sending expendable ships to see if we're bluffing." Carter turned to communications. "Open a channel to all approaching vessels." When the link was established, Carter spoke clearly and firmly. "Attention, Krylaxian craft. Return to your main vessel immediately. Any approach toward Earth will be considered hostile action." The only response was increased acceleration from the alien ships. "Projectors at 67%, Mason reported. "Still insufficient for reliable deployment." Carter made a quick decision. "Activate conventional defense systems. Target leading vessel with kinetic weapons." Earth's orbital defense platforms responded immediately, launching a barrage of advanced missiles. The lead Krylaxian ship evaded most with extraordinary maneuvers, but 2 impacts disrupted its shields. The alien vessel faltered briefly, then continued its approach. "Sir, the quantum projectors are routing emergency power. We're at 73%. Minimal operational threshold," Mason announced. Susan Blackwell stepped forward. "Admiral, we can attempt a targeted displacement on the lead ship. It's smaller than what we tested successfully, but the field stability will be compromised at this charge level." "Risks?" Carter asked. "Incomplete displacement, unpredictable effects, possible quantum backlash to our projectors." The alien ships were now entering Earth's upper atmosphere. "We have no choice," Carter decided. "Target lead vessel and initiate displacement sequence." The 3 orbital platforms adjusted their alignment, focusing on the approaching Krylaxian craft. The quantum field engaged, visibly distorting space around the target. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the alien vessel began to shimmer, parts of it seeming to fade while others remained solid. A strange ripple effect spread across its hull before. Suddenly, the entire ship vanished completely. The remaining 4 Krylaxian vessels immediately halted their approach. For several seconds, they hovered in formation. Then, as one, they turned and accelerated back toward their mothership. "Displacement successful," Susan confirmed, studying her readings. "Though the field stability was only 84%, the projectors will need complete recalibration before another use." Nicole Daniels looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting massive communication bursts between the returning ships and the main vessel." And she paused, listening carefully to her earpiece. "Admiral, the Krylaxian internal communications indicate shock. They're using terms that translate roughly as impossible and violation of physical law." Carter allowed himself a small smile. "Now they understand. Open a direct channel to Grand Admiral Zextor." When the alien commander appeared on screen, his composure had visibly faltered. "Your ships are welcome to retreat with the rest of your fleet," Carter said simply. "Earth awaits your decision." The massive Krylaxian vessel hung motionless at the edge of Earth's orbit for 3 days after the demonstration. On the 4th morning, it began to move, not toward Earth, but away, establishing a position near Jupiter's orbit. From this respectful distance came an unexpected transmission. "We request diplomatic contact," Grand Admiral Zextor stated, his tone markedly different from previous communications. "The Krylaxian Empire wishes to establish formal relations with Earth." The United Council debated for hours before selecting Ambassador Kelly Morrison to lead Earth's first true diplomatic mission. Her background in international negotiation made her the logical choice, though nothing in human history had prepared anyone for negotiating with an interstellar empire. As Morrison's diplomatic vessel approached the Krylaxian ship, she reviewed her briefing materials. The Council had given her clear objectives: establish Earth's sovereignty, learn about the Krylaxian Empire, and, if possible, begin building peaceful relations. Unlike Admiral Carter's tense reception, Morrison was greeted with formal ceremony. A delegation of Krylaxians in elaborate ceremonial attire escorted her to a grand chamber where Zextor awaited, along with what appeared to be other high-ranking officials. "Ambassador Morrison," Zextor began, "your world has earned the respect of the Krylaxian Empire. In 15,000 years of expansion, we have encountered only 3 civilizations with technology capable of challenging our forces." Morrison maintained her diplomatic composure. "We would have preferred a peaceful first contact, Grand Admiral." A Krylaxian with different insignia stepped forward. "I am Chief Scientist Vex Lara. Your quantum displacement technology represents a theoretical breakthrough our scientists believed impossible. The ability to remove matter from spacetime without energy dispersal violates what we understood about universal constants. Our scientists developed it for planetary defense," Morrison explained. "Earth has always focused on protecting our world, not conquering others." The diplomatic session continued for hours as both sides cautiously shared limited information. The Krylaxians revealed they controlled vast territories spanning 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, but also spoke of rival powers and complex interstellar politics. "The balance of power shifts," Zextor explained. "Your technology would be immensely valuable in our ongoing conflicts with the Arcturian collective." Morrison smiled politely. "Earth has no interest in galactic wars, Admiral. We seek recognition of our sovereignty and peaceful exchange of knowledge and culture." By the 2nd day of negotiations, a preliminary agreement took shape. The Krylaxian Empire would recognize Earth as a sovereign power, not subject to imperial authority. Limited cultural and scientific exchanges would begin, carefully monitored by both sides. When Morrison returned to Earth, the Council received her report with mixed emotions. Earth had gained its independence and averted immediate danger, but had also been thrust onto a complex galactic stage. "They're still watching us," Admiral Carter noted as he stood with Morrison at the observation deck of Earth Defense Headquarters. "They've pulled back, but they haven't left our system." Morrison nodded. "They won't. We've become too interesting to ignore. The question is what comes next." "We continue building our defenses," Carter replied. "The quantum displacement technology bought us time, but we need more options." In the weeks that followed, humanity began to adjust to its new reality. Scientists Susan Blackwell and Alan Grayson led expanded research teams working to refine and improve their revolutionary technology. Schools added new curriculum about known alien species. Defense forces accelerated development of space capabilities. 1 month after first contact, Admiral Carter stood alone on the observation deck, watching distant ships moving near Jupiter. Not just Krylaxian vessels now, but representatives from other civilizations, drawn by news of Earth's unexpected defiance of the powerful empire. "Everything has changed," he murmured to himself, looking back toward the blue planet that had been humanity's only home. The stars were no longer distant points of light representing mystery and possibility. They were now navigation markers in a crowded galaxy filled with empires, alliances, and conflicts. Earth had earned its place among the stars with a single defiant warning. What humanity would do with that place remained to be written in the challenging days ahead.